this first joke about Nick Fury was kind of an oddball one. I wasn't sure if enough people would get the reference, so I just tossed in that still image. And I do this a couple more times in this episode. This episode was kind of a weird, oddball. I used a lot of conventions like that would have been fine if I'd been doing them from the beginning, but for some reason they were concentrated in this one episode. And then we've got this joke with Judo where he's trying to think of a witty action hero line, which I wrote essentially because I thought it would be an awesome place for him to come to bust out, a real cool quip, like the kind that Bruce Willis would always do in the Die Hard movies or something from one of the better Arnie movies. I just plain couldn't think of one. So I thought, I'll try and make everybody else think of one for me. But I guess it kind of worked out just insofar as this was such a weird episode. It was just kind of in between. Not a lot really happened, and so I wound up needing a lot of filler material to pad out the running time, essentially. Which I think really, honestly, kind of dragged down the first 3/4 of this episode. I think I could have handled it better. Or just given up and lumped this one in with number 15, maybe. I don't know. I wound up doing that with Gantz a lot, not so much. I mean, this bit here was reasonably clever, where I intersperse, the narrator with Rickert's little ongoing talk about other abridged series, and was able to give a bit of a shout out to Lanny and Yu Yu Hakusho, which he eventually repaid in kind. Oh well. It speaks for itself, I guess. It is what it is. Oh, and there's my crappy Final Fantasy dialogue box again. It looks like such shit, but I was always too lazy to go back and get a better one. Oh well.
Come on, I'll teach you how to roll a joint.
Kick ass.
And my Final Fantasy jingle here, which I use over and over. I think this was the point where I started realizing that I was overusing it and tried to cut back a little more.
I'm sure he can handle them. But if he murders that many people all in one
And bringing back the still images here, I used the movie posters to, once again, just throw a little visual flavor in there. And also with Blood Simple, such an obscure reference. I saw it for a film noir class. Terrible, terrible movie. Wasn't noir at all. I don't know why they put it in there. And then using this rewinding bit, which was just a bizarre break of the fourth wall, which I was totally out of place in the series, but gave me an excuse to skip a bunch of boring crap there, so I guess it worked. This, I think, is right where the episode really starts to pick up, is right here. I do really enjoy this scene, and the doctor. I've got my doctor hat on. I love the self-importance there. And just, giving some crap to the anime convention of wounds randomly disappearing for no reason. Which, in this episode, there actually is an explanation. Oh, continuity error here. It was daytime a second ago, now it's nighttime. Oh well. But it's actually given an explanation here, the magic fairy dust, which normally anime gives no such... doesn't even bother with such explanations. Even in Berserk, there's just... Guts will be horribly, mortally wounded, and then will mysteriously heal very quickly, even before he meets Puck, which is just a blanket explanation for it forever after. Oh well. Yeah, this exchange is pretty decent, and gives me another chance to have fun with the idea of Private Frank and his record collection. I actually snuck one in there. I snuck in Social Distortion, which I hadn't used yet, but I already knew that I was going to be using them in an upcoming episode. And then this bit was okay, but I think it was too much build-up for not enough payoff. I used a couple of lines to set up that whole haha Griffith is flaming joke. Oh well. And I did always like this. I poke fun at my own inability to stay consistent with where I stuck in the opening. And then, I think this bit, I was glad that this bit worked out. I was afraid that people would think that my Spanish is actually this bad. Terrible, terrible, mangled Spanish. Which was intentional. That German, I had so many people trying to figure out what I was saying. And, yeah, it's pretty much nonsense. Oh, out of time! Alright, see you next time.